All right, people talk about this, the speed of weight loss. How fast can I lose weight? A lot. And I remember feeling that way when I felt like my weight is up. Oh, I'm 20 pounds over. I got to do something. Oh, now I'm 30 pounds over. Oh, I'm 40 pounds over. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to 60 pounds overweight. I was approaching a weight of 200 pounds and I was freaking out. Like everything I know to do isn't working. What can I do? And what can I do fast? Because once I got to the sense of suffering and pain, and like I would see pictures taken of me and go, how did that person make me look so fat? Right? That's not how I look in my head, right? I was avoiding mirrors. I certainly wasn't buying clothes anymore, right? So we get in a bit of a hurry. And so I want to talk a little bit about what we can expect as far as the rate of weight loss, because it's natural and understandable that we want to see results when we embark on a weight loss approach. And we want it to be fast if we've gotten really upset with our weight, right? And so we might see friends or family getting quick and dramatic weight loss and ask them, what did you do? Because we're thinking, whatever you're doing, I want to do that because I want that dramatic change. I always remember a friend who lost weight really dramatically, asked her about it, and it was with one of those meal plans, like you just eat the prepared meals that they send you. And as soon as she went back to eating real food in the world, gained it all back. And so it started getting super clear to me. I may not want the fastest weight loss, but I want the most permanent, lasting weight loss. And it also started getting really clear as I studied weight loss more from the science angle that I didn't want weight loss that went with compromising my health. So I want to talk about why I talk about getting slender for good. I'm talking about it should be something that lasts, which is a unicorn. And I'm evangelical about this. It's super frustrating. We end up feeling like it's our fault. We just need to try harder. And that really isn't the answer. And it makes me hurt and angry for all of us who are trying and trying and trying. So I want to really put the idea forth about let's get slender for good. So slender in a way that lasts, and for good also meaning slender in a way that goes with being my healthiest self, not compromising my health, right? So let me give a few examples of ways of losing weight that we find compromise our health and don't last. And they are the most common things out there, right? So the most likely advice of our doctors and nutritionists and the fitness gurus out there is going to be some version of you got to eat less and exercise more. Like this is an idea that's been out for 100 years and people really believe in it, even though the research really shows that doesn't work. It only works temporarily. It doesn't work in terms of getting healthier and getting slender for good. So I talk about this at length in another event, and ask me if you would like to see more of that event, but I'm going to just give you a couple of the highlights here. UCLA researchers decided to look at diets in terms of longitudinal studies, like what diets, so all these diets say they work, but do they mean they work in a lasting way so people don't gain the weight back? And what they found when they looked at any longitudinal studies is less than 1% of the time we saw lasting weight loss. So diets, calorie restricting diets, we do see people lose weight on them. I used to always feel like I could lose weight if I just exercised a bit and cut my calories for a while. And all the things that we wear for measuring, even the elliptical machine at the gym that I used to do told me how many calories I burned. Not true, not helpful, right? So what UCLA researchers found when they looked at this big meta-analysis of a lot of studies that looked, okay, how long do people keep their weight loss? They found calorie restricting diets worked less than 1% of the time. So they worked temporarily, but for lasting results, they didn't work. In fact, They were the biggest predictor of weight gain over time. You might have heard me talk about this, but it makes me really upset that like our doctors and nutritionists, et cetera, are not catching on to this, and they're still promoting these approaches. So what we understand is happening is we release weight initially when we start cutting calories, and our primitive brain goes, that works. That works. It's obvious. It just happened really quickly. It works. And our friends say it works, and our doctors say it works. But what we find is our bodies start fighting back, right? We're like forcing our body to release excess weight by eating less and exercising more. And we're going to make this happen. And it happens temporarily, and then our body fights back. At least two ways. It makes us extra hungry, and it slows our metabolism. So even while we sleep, we're burning less calories. There's a really extreme example of this if the 1% isn't persuasive enough. But if you ever watch The Biggest Loser show, they did both severe calorie restriction and extreme exercise. So people had this dramatic weight loss. Like I remember watching that and going, well, I'm not that obese, but I might want to do this, right? It looks really dramatic and I want that kind of weight loss. So what they found though, with these people as they followed them, when researchers went back and looked at them, this involved a weakening of the heart muscle. Don't do any weight loss approach that weakens your heart muscle. That's not worth it, right? It led to often arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats. That's not worth it. And it led to dangerous reductions in potassium and electrolytes. Like any way of weight loss that compromises your health is not for good. It's not worth it, right? And when they looked at these guys down the road, not only had most of them gained their weight back, many had gained more than they lost, which is what we find with this kind of approach. And in their case, their metabolism slowed down tremendously. So it wasn't even really possible anymore to get a change in their weight because their body was so defended against starvation. So we can starve ourselves into weight loss, and it might be rapid weight loss, but our body's going to fight back, and that weight loss isn't going to last. Super frustrating. And our body is going to be harmed in the process, right? All right, let's talk about the keto diet. So when UCLA researchers were looking at diets, these were another kind of diet in there. The approach to how are we making the weight loss happen is a little different. We're trying to put our body into a ketogenic state, so it's burning fat, right? So anecdotally, we see people can lose weight rapidly, especially bigger people. They can drop up to 10 pounds the first week. Now then, weight loss is generally 1 to 2 pounds a week, and it starts to slow down after the first month. And people often say it wasn't sustainable, like eating that way wasn't sustainable. But what I see in the research is, again, the results don't sustain. So it's not for good in terms of sustainable weight loss, and it's not for good in terms of our health. So with the keto diet specifically, we can see low blood pressure, we can see problems with the kidneys and the pancreas, we see nutrient deficiencies, right? And increased risk of heart disease again, arrhythmias, cardiac contractile function impairment, increased cancer risk, osteoporosis, sudden death, right? So it's not for good. It's not a for good result. It's a way of getting maybe rapid weight loss and then slowing weight loss and then ill health and unsustainable weight loss. So both calorie cutting and ketogenic diets and trying to exercise to lose weight are ways I see of trying to force our body to release excess weight. And it can produce quick weight loss, but it doesn't produce for good weight loss. Almost never. Super frustrating to me, right? Like, ugh. I have to tell you, I'm a trained psychologist. I'm trained to help people in a whole bunch of different ways. I never saw myself being a weight loss person. I'm only doing this because the information out there is so wrong for us. It's hurting us. And because people like me and my clients, women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, et cetera, we are needed in our communities. We can't afford to be harming our health trying to lose weight. We can't afford to be spending so much time and energy trying to lose weight and then just gaining it back again. We need to be able to live fuller lives than this. All right, I want to talk about one other way people are trying to force their bodies to lose weight. They're trying to lose weight quickly, and that's diet pills. Super upset about this option because it's really harming our health and it's producing typically temporary results at best. So harming us and not lasting as far as the weight loss. So years ago, doctors would prescribe stimulant pills, or people would buy some kind of stimulant pills over the counter. That's not so easy anymore. I know my mom did this. This is very destructive to the heart and it's addictive, right? Stimulant drugs are addictive. So they're now using different kinds of medications. So people talk about Ozempic, Wegovy. And so I know quite a lot of people are getting very excited about this. You don't have to change your eating. Now, people don't want to change their eating, partly because of habit and partly just because our primitive brain thinks, I got to keep doing what I've been doing because it's keeping me alive. And so standing against your primitive brain, it's so scared. Don't change anything. It might suck, right? But I thought it was going to suck. I had this whole like really indulgent way of eating and drinking that felt really important to me. I was really scared to change it, but I knew better than to take a drug to try to fix this because of my background, just learning, man, every single drug has desired effects and has side effects. So they're always doing things in our body that we don't want, along with the things that we do want. Basically, it's a way of manipulating your body to handle things differently. Like I just started realizing I was taking pain medications. I took pain medications, usually Advil, because I was really scared of the other kinds of pain medications. But I took pain medications every day for a very long time until I changed my eating because I had so much pain and inflammation. I don't care if it's hurting me. I've got to do whatever I can do to deal with this. It's amazing to me how that changed when I changed my eating. I didn't think my eating was that bad. Ozempic, Wegovy, produces modest amounts of weight loss while you're on the medication. Some people lose more than average, so they might lose up to 30 pounds in 26 weeks. We're still in the 1 to 2 pounds a week. For me, I want to understand a little bit about the mechanisms that are causing the weight loss. So this is a glucagon-like peptide 1, a GLP-1 receptor agonist. So the only reason I say all that is I don't know that much about what all that means, but I can hear that there's something being manipulated in my biochemistry. And I'm going to be a little suspicious whether that's going to ultimately be a good thing for me or not, right? I'm going to be suspicious of drugs, not that I never take drugs, but I'm not going to see them as the be all and end all answer if there's a simpler, more natural answer that can work, right? So what it's doing is activating GLP-1 receptors throughout the body, and it's enhancing the effects of the naturally occurring hormone GLP-1. That's lowering blood sugar in diabetics. And people who treat diabetics, type 2 diabetics, I mean, it's a serious disease that can cause them to start developing neuropathy, to start losing their hands, their feet, their limbs, right? So there are really serious effects from diabetes. So they're saying there are side effects for these drugs, but for type 2 diabetics, the side effects of the drugs are less concerning than the effects of the diabetes illness. So we consider it to be worthwhile. Now, anytime any drug is seeming to cause weight loss, people get excited and look for ways to use it specifically to cause weight loss. So how is it doing that? It's because when you provoke this change in these hormones and these receptors, it affects your appetite and your hunger. It's affecting both in the brain and it's slowing your stomach emptying, so you feel full longer. Seems like a good idea, right? I was just reading a New York City endocrinologist saying when it comes to weight loss benefits, the risks of the drug outweigh the benefits of weight loss just to be thin if you don't have type 2 diabetes. So I argue this is not getting slender for good. It's forcing your body to feel full and process food more slowly. And that is, in a way, getting in the way of our learning to actually eat foods that do all this naturally in the most healthy way, that nourish our body enough that it's happy to reset the weight. So what are common side effects? What are concerns about these drugs? They cause nausea, they cause constipation, they can cause dizziness, decreased appetite. That's one thing a lot of people are desiring, but is that always a good thing? Decreased appetite. They can cause diarrhea. They are generally considered safe. This is safe enough for adults with type 2 diabetes at a certain dosage. Now, as far as the weight, they may not be considered as safe. They're being used off-label. And one of the problems is that it causes these risks, these side effects. Another problem is that the weight gain, the weight tends to come back once you stop the drug, or as I read, it loses its effectiveness. So it's considered risky for a whole list of people. For anyone under 18, considered risky for anyone with type 1 diabetes, anyone who's pregnant or breastfeeding, for people with diabetic retinopathy, for people with problems with their pancreas or their kidneys, and any kind of family history of medullary thyroid disease. But I don't want to cause problems for my pancreas and kidneys. I think I need those for processing toxins. So am I taking this drug so that I can keep eating things that have lots of toxins and I can avoid eating things that are highly nutritious for my body and lose weight? Like, okay, what if we just approach weight loss completely differently? And I can tell you, I'm very evangelical about this now, but I came to these understandings gradually. I knew I didn't want to do drugs. I didn't want to do surgeries. I didn't want to do anything that would harm my body to lose weight. I wanted to learn, is there a way of eating that will actually give much more natural weight loss and reduce my risk of diabetes and heart disease and cancer and dementia, the 4 things that I saw in the research. Now, I didn't know it would make all these hormone symptoms go away. I didn't know it would drastically transform pain and inflammation throughout my system. I didn't know it would drastically transform my immune system. Like, I used to get sick many weeks out of every year with some kind of virus, and that just stopped. So figuring out how to actually nourish my body not only gave me natural weight loss that stuck, that lasts, right? 6 or 7 years later, and I keep seeing it with hundreds and hundreds of people every day. The weight loss that comes from eating in a way that your body makes your body happy is like a reset. It's not like I forced my body to let go of excess weight and now it's fighting back. It's trying to get the weight back because it's worried we're starving, which can happen if what you're doing is suppressing your appetite with chemicals. It can happen if what you're doing is trying to eat less and less and less or exercise more and more because your body says, well, this isn't good. We seem to be starving, right? So when we approach it from this completely different way, I want to make you truly healthy and happy, body, right? That's sort of where my mindset shifted to. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I was hurting you as badly as I was. I didn't realize all these things could change. The great thing too is you can fall in love with eating this way. It's not at all miserable. That's a terrible, deranged food environment convincing us the best things out there are the most non-nutritious food-like substances, and the nourishing things are boring and stupid, and who wants those, right? So we can learn to eat in a way, and we can fall in love with eating in a way that makes our body healthy and happy. So it naturally wants to reset to a healthier point. So how fast do we lose weight when we do this? It's about 1 pound or 2 a week. Very, very predictably, very in such a natural and effortless. But it really is quite easy to eat this way. It's easy, it's enjoyable, and it produces such rewards, such physical and mental and emotional rewards that it's not hard to continue. I'm back to hiking in the mountains again. That I had lost that 10 years ago. Now I feel like I'll still be hiking in the mountains in my 80s and 90s. It's kind of gigantic change, right? We can get about the same rate of weight loss just by eating in a truly healthy, a truly nutritious kind of way, really nourishing. And it's different from what people think. I have people every day tell me, I already know how to eat, I'm just not doing it. Well, getting super clear exactly what your body needs in terms of fruits and vegetables and proteins and fats and whole grains, and exactly what a difference having chip niffles, I call cravingful, highly processed, non-nutritious food-like substances. Those things are actually making a difference in our gut, in our brain, in the functioning of our hormones, in our appetite, all those things, right? But rather than forcing our body to let go, we become warriors for our health. Like, I am actually going to give my body what it needs every day, meal after meal, no matter what. And if it's difficult in a particular moment, I don't care because I'm a warrior. I can absolutely give my body quite routinely what it needs and enjoy it. This week, one of my clients has dropped 45 pounds, still wants to drop quite a bit more, but also reported that not only has this gotten quite easy, but he was super thrilled that his wife's blood test results, she's got a kind of leukemia, were dramatically improved this time, even though she's not necessarily exactly following the plan. Her eating has changed enough that big improvements in her blood work, and it matters, right? Been quite natural. Another client, just in her first 2 months, a couple of things that she said this week. I am so much calmer and more confident and more happy eating this way. I hear this all the time. And I think I understand a lot about why that is. And it has a lot to do with changing what we're putting into our gut microbiome, right? That's just where so much of our mood is based, so much of our immune system is based, that tweaking what we're eating so that we're actually nourishing our body thoroughly changes our mood and our immune system and the pain and inflammation in big ways. So there's no need to use an approach that involves deprivation and suffering. There's no need to use an approach that is compromising the health of your body. Don't do that. I mean, I just don't do that. Not at this age. It's time to love ourselves enough to put a little time and energy into learning, what does my body actually need and how can I give it consistently, meal after meal, and how can I just fall in love with that so it's just not an issue. I have a lot of time and energy, even money, freed up to do so many other things rather than focus on dieting, right? Rather than focus on weight loss. And what am I going to do about all the clothes in my closet that don't fit? And how can I hide my body behind them, et cetera, right? Let's not spend our time and energy that way. And let's get really committed. I'm not using a weight loss approach that's going to compromise my health. I won't. I will fight to learn what's different about truly healthy eating that produces natural weight loss, a natural reset of my body, as opposed to trying to force it. Can you feel the difference in that energy? If you'd like to hear more about what this looks like, reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Slender for Good Warriors group, and I'd love to have you join me there. I'm on YouTube at Slender for Good, Dr. Ginny Trierweiler, I think it is. I would love to hear from you. What have you learned about this? What are your questions about this? I'm glad you joined me today. Take care.